The Grey Wardens and I draw the Darkspawn into charging our lines, and then?
You will alert the tower to light the beacon, signaling my men to charge from
To
cover.
flank the Darkspawn, I remember.
Enough. This plan will suffice.
As long as you stick to it.
The plan will work, Your Majesty.
As long as he sticks to it.
For Ferelden!
Greetings, Temple Legends. Your favorite mentor, Arhon Okvals here. Welcome back to the second Temple semester. The Temple is very much open again. The theme of this semester will be settings and segments of various quality video games, and what lessons both creators and audiences can learn from them. And what better segment to start off the semester than the legendary Battle of Ostagar itself, and the lead up to it. Don't worry, I'm gonna take it slow, I won't swoop down on you with all the info at once. For as we know,
Swooping is bad.
there is a great narrative tool used in this segment that I'd like to show you. One that, when implemented right, can light a fire in the hearts of your audience that can last for decades. Unless you do a barv and shit on your previously established lore. As always, a temple warning before we begin, learning this tool and the subsequent lessons requires us to go through spoiler territory. So if you've never played Origins, you have been warned. So without further ado, let's leave behind our parents to get murdered, exploit the trading mechanics of the game, and down a shot of Darkspawn blood. Maker help us all. One of the biggest challenges for creators of any medium is getting people interested and immersed in a brand new IP. This is why the immersive introduction was the most repeated lesson of the first Temple semester. I think we can all agree that there are way more Orc City prologues out there than masterpieces like the Dragon Mount from Wheel of Time. In the first Temple semester, I could only give a broad overview of the vital lessons like the immersive introduction. But now I'm free to go into detail. Each major lesson of the first Temple semester has a set of pillars that support it, if you will. One of the main pillars of the immersive introduction is a narrative tool called the N.C.P, or Natural Convergence Point. Let me first give you the definition, and then we'll see how it was masterfully used to support the immersive introduction that was the Battle of Ostagar. So, a natural convergence point is an appropriate, logical congregation of various factions within a setting for a specific event. The nature of this event makes the inevitable exposition far easier for the audience to digest. Finally, it enables the author to introduce multiple perspectives without overwhelming the audience. Thus, just like the immersive introduction it supports, the N.C.P. creates genuine desire for learning more about the setting. That was the hard theory and definition, but now let's see how it's done in practice. Now, disclaimer, this does not mean you should go, "Welcome to the big event, motherfucker! Here are all 12 of my factions and their perspectives." Just like in Origins, you need to start slow, ideally with an origin story. Now I, as a true enjoyer of fantasy worlds and all the different races they offer, chose the human noble background, with a human fighter wielding a giant greatsword who eventually takes the berserker specialization. So before I was exposed to all the factions in the story, I was first naturally introduced to the history of my character in this world. Then, through an appropriate conversation with my father and his totally trustworthy best friend,
Let me tell you something else, man.
I learned of Ostagar, the royal troops gathering there, and the Darkspawn. Then what happens? Well, after you learn of the Darkspawn as a threat, you are again naturally introduced to a new faction that specializes in fighting them, the Grey Wardens. Specifically through a badass named Duncan. So, do I teleport immediately to Ostagar? Nope, in fact it is implied that I won't be going there at all. Father wants me to stay and rule in his name, until he and my older brother come back from the battle. This extra time is used to slowly build up suspense regarding the battle by talking with various NPCs. For example, the warrior mother expresses regarding the upcoming events sets the tone nicely for what is to come. Even smaller comments from minor NPCs like the cook servants talking about the Darkspawn help hype you up for what is to come. A final conversation with your brother and the rest of your family really nails that okay, shit is going down and we all need to step up feeling. By nightfall, the most unexpected betrayal in history happens, and you are forced to leave your home and parents behind to join the faction you were previously introduced to, the Grey Wardens. Then you have to warn your brother Fergus at Ostagar about what happened, and later split Arl Ho in two with your greatsword. Most of your family is dead? Good. So Mentor, the battle starts when you arrive, right? And then you get introduced to all the factions? Wrong. Ostagar wouldn't be nearly as memorable if that were the case. No, you arrive about a day before the battle begins, and are even greeted by the king himself.
Ho there, Duncan.
Despite his short screen time, Kalen gives off massive golden retriever energy, as he promises to help you get justice for your family. However, some character flaws are noticeable right away. When I play Total War, I like to select all of my troops, and left-click on the enemy.
Farewell, Grey Wardens.
Duncan, did you just fucking hear what he said? And here, after this royal meeting, at long last, the N.C.P. truly begins. You are given free rein to explore the king's camp and interact with all of the factions that have naturally been brought here as a result of the upcoming battle. As one of the soldiers puts it,
"This side is the king's camp. We've got the Grey Wardens here, the Circle of Magi, the Chantry. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting somebody important."
the Ostagar battle camp is oozing with atmosphere, and trust me, each of the factions is given some cool lore for you to chew on. The old legends of the Ash Warriors, the constant tension between Templars and Mages, and the sad state of Tranquil Enchanters all come together to make you feel like you truly stepped into this mystical, mature fantasy world. Of course, how much you get out of this segment depends entirely on you. If you go straight to the Warden's camp, the immersive feeling is still there, just nowhere near as strong as if you go around exploring. First, you notice the little details. A group of soldiers praying to survive the battle as a priest of the Maker gives them all the blessings she can. The cries of the wounded, and the terror in the voices of those who already faced the Darkspawn. The apathy of a deserter hoping for a last meal. You even see a commander of some sort standing above a Genlock corpse, discussing proper battle tactics against the Darkspawn with his men. Magical preparation can also be seen when gazing into the mage camp, where you see a group of magi entranced in a ritual preparing for the upcoming battle, while the Templars keep a watchful eye over them. And yes, you can indeed ask some NPCs to reveal more about the world, and in the context of this battle, it absolutely makes the exposition go down way smoother. I am playing a human noble, so it stands to reason I was instructed in the arts of warfare by my father. And thus I want to learn more about the assets at my disposal before the battle begins. For example, asking Wynne about the magical abilities of the mages, while at the same time learning more about the world. Skill investment is also recognized. For example, if you invest skill points in coercion, you can get some neat interactions in the camp. You can learn more about the king and his current state of affairs from his personal bodyguard. My favorite interaction, especially because I'm a human noble, is when you get to persuade Loghain's guard to get him to meet with you. So, Loghain, what's the battle plan?
But does one ever truly have a choice? One can only match, move by move, the machinations of fate, and thus defy the tyrannous stars.
Also, I love the fact that you get sent out of the camp before the battle. A lesser game would have just lore dumped out that the Grey Wardens are super important and can sense the Darkspawn. However, as part of the preparation for the joining, a junior warden named Alistair accompanies you, and only after you find a dying man who was ambushed by the Darkspawn does he reveal why he's there.
I still do not relish the thought of encountering an army.
Know this. All Grey Wardens can sense Darkspawn. Whatever their cunning, I guarantee they won't take us by surprise. That's why I'm here.
You see, Sir Knight, we might die, but we'll be warned about it first.
Also, this part of the N.C.P. segment allows you to get a taste of battling the Darkspawn before the final battle. And it is just chef's kiss. A bit of dark, sexy witch intrigue also doesn't hurt. However, this isn't just a "just go kill some Darkspawn, bro" segment. You are actually collecting their blood for the Grey Warden joining ritual. And by the time you get back to the camp, night has fallen. Now the atmosphere is even more tense, the topics the soldiers discuss even more grim as you prepare for one last act before the battle, the joining. With a properly implemented natural convergence point, one faction eventually has to take the spotlight from the others. And I'm so happy that it was the Grey Wardens in the end. The joining is dark and tragic, but also cathartic in a way, as it helps fulfill the last point of the immersive introduction, foreshadowing what is to come. Also, if you were under the delusion that you were joining the shining knight in armor good guy team, you'll quickly snap out of it as Duncan, your mentor, fucking murders a guy for simply not wanting to go through this dark ritual. Granted, he couldn't be allowed to reveal the secrets of the joining, but still, holy shit. Also, poor Daveth shows us an accurate representation of what reaction YouTubers are doing to YouTube. So after being naturally introduced to all the factions, all the world lore and perspectives they bring with them, and then undergoing the joining, you are finally immersed enough to partake in the Battle of Ostagar. And truly, after all the build-up the natural conversion point accomplished, it is one of the most cathartic moments in gaming.
For Ferelden!
The battle cutscene is thrilling, captivating, and completely fucking retarded the moment you start using your brain. I mean, I get rule of cool, but holy shit, what the fuck, Kalen? Do you not know what the word lore means? His army position at the start of the battle is every general's wet dream. Look, I don't approve of what Loghain did, but I can at least understand it better now that I'm older and can understand basic military tactics. I can understand why he chose to reveal his true nationality at this point of the battle. Neka započnem akta na predateljstvo. All you had to do was hold your army's position between this point here and this point here, while luring the Darkspawn through this area here. God damn it, Kalen. I dare you, I fucking dare you to try and defend this moronic move on Kalen's part. I've shown you both the definition of the N.C.P, as well as how it was applied in practice by BioWare in Dragon Age Origins. So now let's see what lessons we can learn from this narrative tool. Temple Legends. Now at the start of the second temple semester, I'm very happy to introduce one of those dormant temple functions I'm always going on about. It took a while to reactivate him, but I'm so happy to finally introduce our very own runic intelligence, Tempest.
Greetings, Temple Legends. I am honored to serve as the mentor's assistant in this new semester. I look forward to helping you comprehend the lessons of Ostagar so you may spread the knowledge outside the temple.
Alright, Tempest. Now, lead them in slowly.
While it may seem like there are too many variables in the Ostagar N.C.P, it really comes down to understanding the core concept, which is that, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, roughly 50% of all crime in the US is done by—
Whoa, holy shit, shut the fuck up, Tempest. Fuck, okay, it's okay. We stopped him before he got to the bad part. Who the fuck designed Tempest's rune pattern? It was Arhon Hyde, mentor. Well, you tell Arhon Hyde he's cleaning the temple latrines for the next 7 months. Jesus. Okay, let's just try that again. So the great news about the N.C.P. is that it's a mostly universal lesson for all creators. As with the lessons of the first temple semester, the key is asking the right questions before you even begin to implement a natural convergence point. Is there a logical, natural event I can create in my world to justify a gathering of multiple factions? What kind of differing perspectives can I introduce with each faction? Can I come up with a distinct, useful purpose for each faction being present there? This natural event can be, say, a peace summit meant to stop a terrible war, or even something as mundane as a press conference but with huge implications for the world. As for the second question, please be careful and take your time in coming up with an answer. If you fail to create interesting lore/perspectives for the factions, then your N.C.P. becomes useless. Always think in terms of two opposing forces. For example, the lore regarding different interpretations of the abilities of a single group, like with the Templars and Mages in Origins. If that's too fantastical for you, you can take notes from the faction conflict of the Royal Paladins and Mercs from Gothic 2. Finally, make sure that each faction brings only a subjective, flawed, single piece of world lore. This allows the audience to put together the pieces from various faction perspectives and make their own view of the world. Or even better, debate among each other about which faction is right. As the Temple saying goes, debates about the lore and story are the lifeblood of a franchise. Finally, think of a good reason for the factions you chose to be there. Maybe a mage-type faction is there to provide magic artillery support. Perhaps a race from a warrior culture was brought there to serve as shock troops for the battle. Lastly, perhaps add a specialist order honed to take down a specific threat that is to appear in the battle. If you have multiple starting points in your story, make sure the N.C.P. is mentioned in all of them, just like Ostagar is brought up in all the origin stories in Dragon Age. So that's it for the universal part. Now I just like to give some last tips specific to game designers. Game designers, I've got two words for you. Fashion and ability. Whoever you need to pay, whatever effort you need to put into making the factions visually distinct, just do it. No second thoughts. We humans are visual creatures, and a first impression based on looks is equally as important as the first impression from exposition. Now, ability refers to what kind of new options are available to the player if they join a certain faction, or at least work with them for a time. This can be access to a new skill tree, access to special resources, or as mentioned, special gear that offers unique buffs based on faction. Lastly, and this is key, make all interactions with factions in a natural convergence point segment optional. A player wants to rush past all of them and just turbo the main story, let them. Their loss. Do not give people the excuse of saying, well, this game forces me to interact with these factions, so it's And that's it. No matter what kind of creator you are, a properly implemented, natural convergence point, as a complement to the intro of your story, can push your IP into the stratosphere. The audience may at first be hesitant, so you surround them with the atmosphere of some cool event in your story. Then you hit them with multiple awesome lore perspectives until you wrap them in purpose and motivation to explore your world. Primary Lotus! Right, so with the lessons of the N.C.P. out of the way, let's move on to the... And so the first video of the second Temple semester comes to a close. No worries, we got one more part of Dragon Age Origins to visit before we move on to the next game. Now, if you're new to the Temple, these lessons may seem like they are only for creators, not audience members. And in that case, I'll gladly repeat myself as much as I need to. The creators learn the theory and then learn to put it into practice. The audience, on the other hand, must know at least the basic theory of these lessons. Our collective standard for quality storytelling is starting to look like that toilet from Trainspotting. The bar is so low these days that some shows are entirely made of member berries while destroying the lore of the IP they claim to respect, and people still gobble it up. New creators who try to do better cannot do so alone. So please, if you agree, Temple Legends, you must learn to identify, appreciate, and support these creators. Identify a well-implemented N.C.P. Appreciate the ass ton of effort it took to get it done, and finally support the creators who did it. We can all learn together. A society that doesn't pay attention to the stories it tells itself is only one generation of bad stories away from cultural collapse. However, all it takes is one group to uphold the standards, to hold creators accountable for there to be great stories in the future. Before we part ways, I have a question for the veterans of the first Temple semester. What do you think of this condensed, more accessible lesson format? Is this better focus-wise? To focus in greater detail on one narrative tool per video, rather than 5 or 6 like in the first Temple semester? I look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Now, whether this was your first video, or you're a Temple veteran, I'm very grateful to all Temple legends who visit regularly and bring new life into the Temple. I do hope that the much faster pace of the second temple semester will allow us to grow faster and reactivate more of the temple's dormant functions. Our journey together is just beginning. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, as it helps with the upkeep of the temple, and helps those who are still climbing find their way here. Have a safe path down the mountain, and I'll see you next time in the temple.